hope they recorded that. All right, now on this side here is your diesel-fired burner. We use the high-efficiency burner. It's a 115 volt, so you have a huge blower motor on here. The 12 volts are about that big, and the problem with the cheap 12 volt ones, when you run them too long, there's a misconception out there where some hot water machines are too good to be true price-wise, but they have a too small of a heating coil, too inefficient everything. They're lucky to hit 150 degrees, even in Texas, hot water or Florida. And what happens is, if you set the thermostat for 180 on those machines, you're never going to hit it. It's kind of like leaving your windows open when you get home in Texas during the summer and cranking the air conditioning down to 60 degrees. The next time that AC unit would even think about shutting off is when it's 59 degrees outside. You know what I mean? But those other systems like run all day long. That's why they can burn through so much diesel fuel, that 5.5 gallon of diesel an hour.
Right.
So this one has got a high efficiency burner assembly, igniter. This is, you need any fire, you need spark fuel and air to make fire. So you got a blower fan in here just like an AC unit would have on it at your home. So there's a squirrel cage, they call it a blower fan, driven by the 115 volt motor, which has a connection to drive the fuel pump. So motor drives the blower fan and fuel pump. Okay? Now also the igniter sits on top here, which is a high voltage igniter, 10 or 20,000 volt, I forgot what it is on this one. And so basically you got spark fuel and air all within one system. Now what happens with some of the cheaper stuff too, if you don't have a good generator and a big enough engine, like if I put a little Honda engine on here, I would not have enough horsepower to even do 35 at 8 and the generator. So being bogged down, it would run slower, which means the generator would spin slower and you would only get like 80 or 100 volt. And it's weird that the engine can cause the burner to fail.
Yeah.
So with the 31, we're overkilling the horsepower.
Plus wearing your Honda out.
Oh yeah, you're killing that thing. So bottom line is, that's why we go with such an oversized engine. And when everybody goes, we love Honda. The people love the Honda pressure washer. The guy that used to pull start Briggs, and then they could pull start a Honda and it starts on the first or second pull. In the twin cylinder world, Vanguard, Kohler, and Kawasaki far exceed that type of engine, you know? I mean, Honda's fine if you got a little cold water. If you don't overload it, they'll be okay, but everybody's overloading them out there just to make a cheaper power washer. But either way, so you got spark fuel and air. You've got this switch here is your fuel solenoid. That's your fuel, yeah, what it is, your fuel pump, your diesel fuel, pumps up from the diesel tank through the filter, oil water separator, and this is a spin-on fuel filter. And then from here it goes into the fuel pump, comes out the fuel pump through the copper line into a gun assembly, like a fuel nozzle assembly in there. It also has two large ceramic insulated electrodes, and the electrodes are your little pinpoint with the spark jumps. So your diesel fuel is shooting through that.
You say the igniter's under here?
This is the igniter here.
This is the igniter.
Yeah, that's your solid.
Is it glow stick?
It's a solid state type one. It's yeah.
Okay.
And
how often does it go?
With the right voltage and all, it doesn't. Once every couple of years, maybe, give or take.
It is a wearable part.
Yeah, it's a wear part. It isn't doing its job. And the more hours, the more carts, the more cans. I mean, if you're the type to put 2,000 hours a year on the machine, it's going to be different than a guy with 300.
Sure.
And if you got, like I said, diesel fuel, good fuel, you do want to change your fuel filter. If you got no heat, it could be just a matter of a clogged filter. And there's diagnosis of me, Andre, their service team, everybody knows. So we can go through all the steps of test this, test that, figure it out, hopefully save you a trip from going to a service center or something. But bottom line is, this is a complete system. I've never in 30 years replaced the entire assembly yet. On 115 volt, on 12 volt, 50 or 100 of them I've replaced. This is a whole different animal. This is, Beckett actually makes fuel oil furnaces for homes that run 24/7. It's not a light duty, especially on the 115 volt version. There's always a cheap something out there.
Yeah.
You can have a great pump that they were paid to make it last 50 hours. You know what I mean? So it's not the brand, it's just the spec. So
Yeah, engineered.
engineering and how it is. And so typically this, if we pull this out and just ignited it, we would have this huge flame coming out there. Okay, so it is a flamethrower that's in a chamber and that. So bottom line, that's kind of all you need to know on this stuff here. You know, you do have to service maybe once a year the electrode and adjust them or replace them. There is a diesel fuel nozzle in there that if for some reason you get a lot of bad fuel or something or moisture, you may have to replace it. But that's all like service center, quick and easy.
Sure.
It's worth the trip to take it in and have it done right. So basically, this is your burner. We went through all that. You know, now your belt guards are all capture nuts, so you can just, you know, unscrew them from the top. You don't have to be a contortionist like the old days. So we really re-engineered this to be perfect, you know. And so just so we show you right now, we'll get in here. This, just so you see it, is a supply hose going to the pump from the water tank. The way you could tell easily is this is going right into this black filter strainer. So this is the 80 mesh strainer filter here. You just unscrew this. Normally when the water tank is empty.
Sure.
Now if you got crud in your tank and you want to get some of that out, it's good to open this and drain your tank here, because then it's going to flow all that extra crud that's floating around. So it actually is not a bad idea to spin it. There is an O-ring in here, normally an orange O-ring. So if you do unscrew it, make sure you get the O-ring, make sure it's placed back in where you do it when you do clean your strainer filter in here and replace the cap. This is something you got to do on a frequent basis. So know to do it. It's just, you unscrew it by hand. You pop the cap off through the mesh in here, and you just clean the mesh and replace it. Put it back in, make sure the O-ring's on. You're not going to get that back on if the tank is full. If water's flowing out, you're going to have to wait for the tank to empty. If not, that back pressure is going to jump the O-ring. So that's the only thing you want to know, is make sure you know that you don't try to fight it or pinch the O-ring. So basically the water tank is a 270 gallon supply tank going through the filter, 80 mesh, through this hose, which is a clear hose enough so you can see what's in there. Go into your pump, and so basically that's good. One thing, just in case, it may or may not happen, but in case it ever did, if you got a bunch of airlock in the pump itself, there is
little pet talk or something.
on the pump itself, there's this gauge right up here. If you were to just loosen these two fittings, like one little half turn or turn, it'll allow air to escape the pump, and then just close it back off. So no big deal, but I'm just showing you, you know, the pressure gauge, if you just follow the hose down, if you had to just loosen that, not take it off, just like half a turn.
That's when you get knocking.
If you ever have air, like you're saying, hey, I'm running the machine, but I'm not getting water out the pump. A lot of times it'll happen if you winterize this and run out of water and get some air in there, and all of a sudden now you got air in the pump. If you ever have air in the pump, it may never happen, but if it ever does, just know I'll explain when you call, we'll review. We just unscrew this, good to go.
Like diesel.
I just had that happen down in
Diesel
Florida.
injection logs or anything else.
Exactly, you just want to bleed the air out real quick and easy. And that's the line I showed you, that's on video. And then this three-way assembly, if and when it ever becomes applicable for you guys in Texas, water from the water tank comes in here. And now it's going up and into the pump. When this is switched over, pointing to the tank, now the antifreeze will go through and into the pump. Okay?
Does mine have this on there?
Huh?
Does mine have
Yeah,
this?
yeah, you got that.
Oh, really? Cool.
So this is a nice feature, and what's nice is this is full of windshield washer fluid. You put this on, you start the engine, you want to be quick.
Right.
You just, you know, you can even start if you have a spare waste can. Just have the valve open on one of the cleaning heads. You start it, when you see the little blue or the little foam come out of the cleaning head, shut that head off, open the other head, get foam, which will be quick because everything's already backed by that manifold. Shut that off. What you can do with the high pressure hose reels and hoses, we actually put disconnects before the reel, and you can blow air through that. If you want to save money, just take a little air tank or air compressor and blow air and get all the air out of the hoses. The same with the garden hose. You can put air in the air and go back to the tank. Now you flushed out your hoses. It saves you about 5 gallons of windshield washer fluid then by blowing the line. That's why we spent the extra money with the quick disconnects.
Right. Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah. Once I said, you will not see us doing a shortcut on anything here. It's always about your convenience and the ability to keep this machine running the way it should. All right, we've got this down pat. You do have an hour meter up top there, so just know that. There's a breaker here also for the burner, and behind here the one for any accessory. There's that plug on the bottom, which is right there, so it's a ground fault circuit interrupter SIPTO like you have at the house. All right, and now I'll just show you brief run through, no big deal. So people know, sometimes people actually get confused about this. This is your garden hose reel or supply hose. If you want to fill up the trailer with water at your house or your shop, pull the garden hose out and connect it to a household spigot. Turn the water on. Water is actually going to flow into the garden hose, into the reel, and up to the top of the supply tank. In the supply tank, we have a Hudson valve. It's a float, shut-off valve. So when the water is full, it'll turn off automatically. So if you went in the morning and often, like you, having these million phone calls, okay, and don't worry, you're not going to come back and have 1,000 gallons in your shop or in your garage. It's going to shut off by itself. Disconnect the line, you're good to go. If you need water during the day and you can tap into a household spigot, a building, or if you're working at a waste company cleaning trash cart, see if you get their water supply so you got all the water all day long. You know what I mean? So this is basically your supply for your tank. Now if you're commercial pressure washing, driveway, sidewalk, always use the household water to do all that work with. Then when you leave, your tank's full, even if you don't need a lot. Just say, okay, I'm doing your driveway side, let me connect the hose. Okay, I'm going to take lunch, leave the hose on until you're full. You know what I mean? So this is the best way to
with a shotgun next month when they get the bill.
No, you know what? The water is cheap. It's probably 1,000 gallons for $3. So it isn't a lot of money. I've always told people, if they say, hey, if you don't want to pay for water and I got to bring my own water and do your mansion because you're a jerk,
Right.
add 20-30% to the cost because you're going to have to go outside. Now you can also go with a fire hydrant fill and either go to a garden hose adapter and run through a hydrant through the meter, which you got to get a permit for, and flow the water there, or you can use a larger hose and fill it up in like 5 minutes a tank. You know what I mean?
I don't work with people like that.
Well, I'm just saying if you're on the road and you're doing your carts and you need water, you can get it. Normally, you can get a permit for a water meter and fill your water with a hydrant, so you don't have to run around and quick fill.
The meter's $900 in San Antonio.
I believe it. I've seen them up to $1,400, $1,800 bucks. Yeah, it's just a permit, and then when you return it, the ones that are super expensive, the one that lost a whole truckload of frickin' meters because they weren't paying attention. They used to be like $200, like in Palm Beach County, Florida. It went up to $1,800 because they didn't keep tabs of where their meters were. So bottom line, so what's nice with our wheel is you got a guide here. So when you're hand cranking, you just hold the handle and you roll your hose back and forth. Now you're not grabbing, especially when these things are full of dumpster grease and filth and all that other crap, you're able to just roll it up and keep clean. So you get this is a both hand crank reel. You do have a little bit here where you can pull this lever back. It gives you a little bit of drag. If you want to lock it, you can pull it all the way down. It doesn't lock it completely, but say when you're a pressure washer, when you feel the thing, you're going to feel the kick and holy crap. It can be like a fishing line when it comes to gnarling up your hoses. So by having the extra drag, but if you notice that this is down and you go to crank and you're like, oh man, I must be tired. Just remember, you got a double position. You got one, fully high tension, medium tension, and then released, okay? Nice feature. These are pretty much the best reels on the market. Even when we did a pressure washer, went to a big trade show at a pressure washer convention, all the guys walked by the trailer going, holy crap. And these are guys that have been in business for 25 years. So everything is high quality, the whole 9 yards. There is a lock pin here. Now when you unlock it, you put it on the tab up top here. Now the reel will rotate. You got doors and security, so you're not going to have your hose 200 feet of hose whipping down the highway because your doors can close. Some guys have had that done to them. That one guy with a truck, the hose reel dropped. It wrapped around his dually wheel and ripped his axle out off his truck. It actually popped the axle, and it was crazy just from the hose. Everything got ruined, the reel, everything in the truck. So bottom line, you got your pin, so once you got it all lined up where you want it, just lock the pin. The pin's on both. The other thing real quick here, I think you should be able to see it. Let me get the gun out of here. Be careful too, because it is a pressure trap on motor. Water can stay trapped in the machine under pressure. So you want to release the pressure, and we'll go through how we do that with a bypass in the back.
I imagine that's fun.
I've actually been shot
but you
once
only
or
do that
twice.
You only do that one time, right?
Okay. And we have the same disconnect. These are stainless steel quick connect fittings here. They have an O-ring in here, just so if you have your gun leaking and it's pissing hot water on you, change the O-ring, okay? You just take a dental pick, kind of fish that out, and take a little pocket screwdriver, flat one, and just pop it back in. The O-ring seats about a ½ inch below, right in the back there. So you got that little O-ring.
Yep.
You have to use a Viton or a hot water O-ring. If you use the standard Boone O-ring, they can pop every hour or less. So, well, the reason I showed you this is on the high pressure reel, remember I told you how you could do a blowout through there? We actually have a disconnect right here on the reel. So you would put a hose up in here or a fitting in your air line to blow these out, or you put a adapter here with a air hose, like an air chuck, to blow air in. The reason we have this here is on the back of the trailer. We have most chemical injectors are about that big. The only injector that'll work at 9 gallons a minute is this beast we had built. So this is a chemical injector which will suck soap or detergent into the high pressure line and out the hose, rail, and gun. So this is your chemical injector. And what you could do here is, what's nice about this is you could take your injector and install it on the hose reel here. So you got, so if you're doing a parking garage or dumpster area,
clean your stuff out.
yeah, and this allows you to soak down a parking garage or parking lot, anything, or house wash with it. So all you got to